Hello, welcome. Little energy update chat. Um, so I was thinking about this recently, how Aries season asks us, which we're in right now, Aries season asks us to be bold, courageous, embody the confidence we need to attract things like abundance and success and opportunity. Um, Bold and courageous. You know what else is bold and courageous? And I've been noticing is becoming my personal Aries season bold and courageousness is accepting all versions, all sides, all corridors, all closets of my mind and who I am. You know, there's power and courage in accepting that you're not perfect, that you do sometimes need to have a cup of chamomile and take a nap and stretch, or you might yell at someone. Like, it's okay that you still are struggling with your trauma symptoms or still working on interpersonal communication and connection because of trauma from your past. That doesn't mean that you're sitting in what happened to you. It's different. You are rewired differently now, and that's okay. It's about integrating and accepting this new person that you've become because of the trauma. Which, when you think about it, if we are biologically designed for every experience we go through to bring us to our highest potential of being, then that must mean that the traumatic events that we also experience are curtailed to rewire our brain efficiently to be able to accomplish whatever it is that our purpose here is. All of our purposes are different. I'm not going to be a lawyer or a doctor, that's not my purpose. My brain is rewired and wired for softness now and energy maintenance, balance, and care. Like, that's where I'm at now, and I can now help spread that to others. But I feel like we can never move off of this plane of, our purpose of what we're here for and actually step into the thriving aspect of it until we really accept that is what makes us us. Not this idea of, yes, I went through something traumatic, but it didn't affect me. Like, I didn't let it affect me because I used the tools and I healed. That really, it matters. Yes, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. However, you're still a different person now. For example, I have personally had too many scary situations with while I'm sleeping, right? So living alone, sleeping, and things happening to me in the middle of the night. So I picked up this habit of sleeping with a knife under my pillow, steak knife, like whatever I had in the kitchen. Now, that's being years ago. We've come to a place where I've changed my environment and the people that surround me and the people who know where I live and things like that to such a rate of health and healing that, that won't happen again. Like, I have door locks, it won't happen. So there's no knife under my pillow. But that doesn't mean there's not something like that in my bedroom, right? Now, does that make me paranoid? Or does that make me learn from my past and implement it into my future for future success? I'm not utilizing it to hold myself back, but why did I go through that experience if not to learn a protective measure or to learn a scenario, a situation from that? So we cannot keep demonizing what has happened to us, but we also cannot keep sitting in the victim mentality as well, because I would never have grown past that fear keeping the knife under my pillow, because then you're still expecting this to happen. In turn, you will attract it. So now, what do you do with that? The lessons you've learned from trauma, integrating into who you are now, but not letting them make you codependent upon those tools, right? Like, I don't have to have a knife with me to go to sleep. I can sleep, no big deal. Yes, I'm very jumpy, and if people try to wake me up when I'm sleeping, I'm very defensive about it. But once again, learned from scenario, from an environment, from a situation. It doesn't impact me in the fact that I get restful sleep. I cuddle in the middle of the night like with my partner. Everything's fine. Yet, and it doesn't linger in the forefront of my mind. However, what is the point of experiences if not to learn from them, if not to create some sort of proactive measure for the future? But watching out for the fact that you're not holding up the gloves, attracting the fight, right? So there's this balance of integrating these lessons that you've learned at the same time as not becoming dependent or codependent upon said tools, right? Like, this came up recently with a friend. Like, if you can't do A, B, and C, and it doesn't mean food, shelter, safety, security. If you can't do a couple rituals or routines that you have in place that help you kind of just face the day, but you, let's say, are 10 minutes behind or something breaks and you're not able to do that before you leave, is your entire day ruined? Or do you have an adaptable, flowing motion with your tools so that if you skipped this one, you are able to, let's say, do breath work instead, or listen to meditational music in the car on the way wherever you're going, or whatever it is you need. Living tools, ones that aren't debilitating us like a knife under the pillow. Yes, some people might think that's not debilitating, but it is, because you're constantly living in a state of expectation of that scenario happening. So you will attract it because your nervous system is in a state of fight or flight, mostly fight, and you're not able to embody new frequencies to attract new into your thriving life and not just your survival life. So there's another step, and I think that's what this Aries season is opening up to my eyes about, is that there is this next step of you learn a lesson and you're sitting almost in that a little bit, that sadness, that it's not fair, the unfairness of it. And then the next step, you're starting to forgive, you're starting to move on, you're starting to heal, but now you have these tools that have become like a crutch. Like, I have to do A at this time, I have to do B at this time, or I have to carry X amount of crystals in my pocket at all times, blah, blah, blah. Like, I used to be that person. I couldn't leave my house until I made sure I had all these certain little knickknacks in my bag. And now we're down to like, yeah, I can just wear this crystal. Because I have more trust in my ability to utilize other tools that are in here and not necessarily tangible. So then that's that next step where, yes, you're still wearing crystal jewelry, still utilizing the power of that intention, but it's more on the go now. It's not inhibiting me from leaving my house on time. It's not holding me back from having a bunch of bags and crap. It's that next step. And now we're at this another step where we recognize that our brain chemistry is different, but it also picked up a lot of good things too because of that trauma, because you took those steps to learn tools and integrate things like that into your life. And now you're like on the go. Now you could just take those things and soar. So this Aries season is showing me that to coming to acceptance with, I do struggle with interpersonal communication. I'm good at that. But connection, because it is very easy for me to just make everyone my enemy. Not like attacking them, but in my mind, nobody cares. Nobody can understand me. Nobody can, because that's what CPTSD does to you. It disconnects you from other people because they could never understand you to that traumatic level. So even though you're not still suffering from the trauma, you're fine, you're living daily life, okay, there's still going to be those days where you realize that here's all the people and you're like over here. And that feeling used to really cripple me, but then I realized, once again, if you're biologically designed for every experience you go through, then the fact that my brain has been rewired in this way is for a reason. So I have to work with it. I have to practice interpersonal connection. I have to be more mindful of the people I connect with and be more observatory and not so much participating all at once. We can observe. We're allowed to observe and take notes and collect data. That's okay. And we don't have to just jump right in and be like, yeah, I'm your bestie. Like, I'm going to help you do this. I'm going to help you do that. Like, simmer, let people show up as themselves and see if whether or not that's the person you want to spend your time with. And I feel like I had to have gone through what I went through to gain this kind of knowledge, because in the past, I could just make friends with anyone. And everyone's like, oh my God, that's such a good quality. No, it's not. Because that also means the snakes in the grass, the scorpions in the desert. Like, I could freaking make friends with anybody. And then guess who's getting robbed or getting taken advantage of in the middle of the night? This is the problem. So then you go through your traumatic experience to then learn these different, it's forced knowledge, because I wasn't conscious of my attraction to all these pests or parasites, right? So I had to go through this experience, go through isolation because of these experiences, and then realize I don't gotta be friends with everybody. I'm good. I am so good on that. I will be the nicest, most compassionate, empathetic person, loving to every single human being out there, everyone in the world. However, who you let in your home, who you let in your life, in your inside of you, to see those intimacies about who you are as a person, that's seldom. That's quality over quantity. And I'd rather that any day. So when I'm alone, I don't feel lonely. I don't feel isolated. I thrive. And that was something that I had a problem with in my 18 to early 20s. I could not be alone. So I shoved all these people that aren't good for me into my life. So instead of looking at my trauma as something that has ruined me or changed me for the not better, you can now recognize that it was a necessary growth to be able to thrive where you are now. So that's this Aries season, is really begging us to take a look at that and stop looking at our traumas and looking at them as something that is crippling. Yeah, they are, but not forever. It's like you getting a surgery because something's broken and you got to get the broken thing fixed. Yeah, it's going to hurt for a while, but then it's mended and it's even better than it was before. And that is the purpose and the point of all of our challenges and experiences. So, trauma, is it traumatizing? Yes. Is it, though, meant for you? Yes. Oh, it's such a hard thing to say. But, like, where do we evolve? How does evolution begin if not from adversity? How do we change if not from the depths of rock bottom hell? Right? Because if everything seems fine, then you're not going to think to change. So we need these sometimes. We need this. And yes, trauma has changed your brain chemistry for the rest of your life. But that's not a bad thing. Work with your new brain. Figure out what it has in store for you. Figure out why you had to go through what you had to go through to come out the other end a stronger, more empowered human being. And you're allowed to have each level where it sucks and it's not fair, and then you're gaining a little bit more control back, and then the next thing. You're allowed to go through all those levels, but don't stop on one of those steps. Keep going, because then you get to a point where you recognize all this is meant for me, because I wouldn't be the person I am today, and who I am today is more cautious and calculated, not in a paranoid way, in a mindful, observatory way. And I needed that. Being a Leo, we like to attract people, but like, I'm not just jumping in anymore. So that's just one example. And the knife thing, that's another example. But what are some of your examples? What are some traumas that you've gone through that you've recognized a level of steps of growth where now you're at a different plane than you were before, and the realizations that have come with that? Well, Aries season's almost over. It's going to be ending on April 20th, and we're going to move into Taurus season, where I feel like we're going to have an opportunity to ground all these fleeting and flying around aha moments and kind of dangling balloons. We're going to be grabbing them by the little string finally and tying those balloons down to a picnic table and like having lunch. So looking forward to that, and I will give you another update or just fill you in on some thoughts. Have a good one, guys. Bye.